Hello everyone, Lawrence here at Happy Bike Days. This bike is by BH, and the main reason I wanted to try this ILynx race was because it has BH's own power system on there. Yes, their own motor battery sort of combo, and it's even got this bottle cage, which is like a range extender battery as well. It's designed to be a down-country, cross-country sort of e-bike, and I've always said e-bikes, if you're going to have a heavy bike, you may as well give it as much travel as possible. This bike is the exact opposite, and it does definitely have some benefits, as I'll show in just a bit. This was a fairly well-spec'd model with carbon wheels, XTR drivetrain, XT 4-pot brakes, the shortest dropper post I've ever used in my life, but also very narrow bars, and the roll on the bars was a bit strange, and they put the shifter and the brake levers to the outside quite a lot, so I couldn't really get a good grip on these grips. It was quite uncomfortable to ride like that. However, going up the hill, the main thing I noticed with this BH drivetrain is that it really needs a lot of RPM on your cranks. If you're not really spinning it up, the motor's not really going to help you out, and if you don't shift for like short corners like this one, you'll really notice that you really have to put in your leg work, make sure you're at high RPM, and only then the motor really kicks in. It's okay on this sort of more open terrain that we're on right now, but in a second you'll see me doing some more down country like riding, where I at least would prefer to have a more torquey motor at lower cadences, lower RPM. Now, doing the tight twisty stuff, it's a cross-country bike really, and you can see that in its geometry. As a result, the bike can deal with short corners very well, but when it gets quite steep, or when you're trying to slow down on steep rough terrain, it's not exactly the most confidence inspiring. If I'm going to pretend to be a bike journalist, I'm just going to say confidence inspiring every 2 sentences or so. But on these sort of short climbs, you can see there's a little route here, and I just had the front wheel bump up a bit because you're so far over the back with this sort of seat angle. Also, I'm not doing the black line on the side there because it's just too steep. On these sort of steeper terrains, you can really see me struggling and being all sketchy and twisting the bars a whole lot when I really don't have to, but it's just the result of narrow bars, steep geo. However, on this sort of tighter stuff, then going slightly uphill again, once I got a bit of, again, cadence RPM sort of going on to get that motor to really help me out, it felt right at home on the sort of slower, sharper turns uphill sort of climbing. But you really don't want to take this to a bike park at all. Again, it's a down country bike as they call it, so you probably shouldn't do that anyway. Now, I had a decently good time with this bike, but I would really need to ride it for longer to really say whether or not it's a good idea or a bad idea to do, well, cross-country e-bikes. I thought cross-country bikes were all about human peak performance going uphill. With this one, the motor helps you out a lot, as long as you get the RPM up. But that's just the short first impression on this bike. Thank you very much for watching. More Happy Bike Days content is on the channel if you want to see this sort of content, but I much rather do more detailed testing on bikes that I have for a couple of weeks instead of a couple of minutes. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers!